Hey, what's going on, guys? We have the Teamfight Tactics patch notes. We're going to do a rundown for 12.5. And just as a note, this patch will last a month. They gave out a little explanation on why and how they're kind of going to monitor the situation. Because obviously they know it's going to be a long time. But just as a summary, we have Bodyguards, Enchanters, Brand, Ashe, Gnar, Lucian, Morgana, Ahri, Braum, Draven, Tahm Kench, and Galio all being buffed, along with 4 Score, Tiny Titans, and Woodland Trinket. Then for the nerfs, we're going to have Chemtech, Enforcer, Jarvan, Nocturne, Twitch, Echo, Malzahar, Alistair, Vi, Bramblevest, and then Battle Mages, Chemtech Unity, Concussive Blows, Cybernetic Implants 3, all the Disintegrators, all the Electro Charges, and all the Luden's Echoes. Lastly, they're going to be adjusting Innovator, reworking Rek'Sai, and then adding High 5 as a Prismatic. That one actually sounds a little weird. And then removing Second Wind 3. So big patch, let's just get right into it. Essentially, like, they're going to be monitoring the patch in the first week, but the goal is to just try to like experiment with new stuff. That's essentially the too long didn't read of their reasoning why. Now onto the large changes. So for Toma traits, they've been changing this a bunch, but now they're kind of nerfing it a little bit. So you need 6 or 7 active traits now before you get one tailored emblem. Tailored emblem means it is one of the things that you have as a trait active. And then after that, for 2 tailored emblems, it's going to be 8 to 9. They're essentially just increasing everything by 1 just to nerf Toma traits just a little bit. And now onto the augments. So they are doing like, holy cow, this is a lot of changes. Battle Mages 1, 2, and 3 getting nerfed by 5, 10, and 10 ability power at the start. And then Chemtech Unity is being changed from silver to gold. This was the one that gave Chemtech to all your units, even if they weren't a Chemtech. Concussive Blows, this is going to be changed from silver to gold, and then the cooldown being changed from 7 to 6 seconds to compensate for that. Cybernetic Implants 3 getting lower health by 100. This was probably one of the best win streaking augments in the game. Disintegrator 1, 2, 3 is being nerfed by 0.5, 0.5, and then staying the same at 3-star. And then now onto Double Trouble. This was like one of the strongest augments, in my opinion, in the last patch. But 35, 45, and 60 is being changed to 30, 40, and 50 for all the 80 AP, MR, and armor for Double Trouble. And then Electro Charge 1, 2, 3 is being changed from a 30 damage nerf at level 1, 35 at level 2, and then 20 at level 3. This one, I thought it was pretty good. I never took it as like a first choice, but I was never mad about it as like a second or third choice, you know? 4 Score number of forecast being changed from 3 to 4, so now it will give 16 gold. Next, they're nerfing Radiant Zephyr by 2 seconds from 10 to 8 seconds. It's also called Mistral. I'm not sure why they have a lot of different names for it, but you could essentially get it from Future Sight, the Golden Egg, and the Relic options. Golden Egg and Relic options, Sunlight Cape. Max burn is also being changed from 120% to 90% over 30 seconds. Luden's Echo 1, 2, 3 being nerfed by 35 damage at level 1, 50 at level 2, and then 75 at level 3. New Prismatic High 5 gained 5 random 5-cost champions. This one could get a little wild. I'm actually not sure how good it is. It's definitely better than Windfall, because you're sacrificing like a little bit of gold for getting like legendary champions, which is obviously what a lot of late game teams want. And if you get this early game, holy cow. I wonder if they block getting this early game. Okay, it can only appear as a third augment. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Portable Forge option, Zonia's Paradox being buffed a little bit. The armor's being buffed by a lot, and then the invulnerability duration increased by 0.5. And then Second Wind 3 removed Triforce bonus. I always thought Triforce was really strong, especially on Senna, but it's being nerfed by 100 health across the board, and then it can only be offered if you have 2 or more 3-cost units in play. This rule does not apply to the first augment choice, I believe. Woodland Trinket clone health is now being increased by 50. And then now onto the traits. So onto the first change, we have Bodyguard starting shield is being buffed by 50 at 2 and 4 Bodyguard, and then buffed by 100 at 6, and then, holy cow, 800 armor at 8. That is a lot of, that is the starting shield. Enchanter heal and shield bonus is now being changed, so it is going to be buffed by 5 at 3 Enchanter, buffed by 10 at 4, and then staying the same at 5 Enchanter, and then the magic resist is also being increased pretty much across the board. I thought Enchanters were actually pretty decent, but I guess I am wrong about that. Enforcer stun duration being nerfed a little bit. That's good. I always hate getting Enforce. It's really annoying. especially since a lot of comps this set revolve around 3-star carries. So if you're playing reroll or something like that, like your dude just gets enforced every time. It's a little annoying. Hextech Shield. This one is being buffed a little bit, so they're doing some compensation buffs for Hextech. They over nerfed Hextech. They nerfed it by like 8 different ways, but then all the other OP comps last week they only nerfed in like one way. So I didn't really think that was fair, but they're bringing it back, so hopefully this is enough. I think they're buffing Sivir later on too. Innovator Hextech Dragon adjusted. The Dragon's Roar no longer grants 75% critical strike chance. Instead, units buffed by the Roar will always critically strike if able. And then spells require Jeweled Gauntlet or the Lotus Gauntlet thing, or Jeweled Lotus. Innovator Hextech Dragon Electrifying Roar critical strike damage increased by 15%. And then the lightning damage is being buffed by 100. That's to compensate for that. So it's like a little bit of like taking away power here, but then adding in power elsewhere, I believe. So onto the units tier 1. Brand seer damage is being buffed. Okay, yeah, Brand feeling a little weak right now. He's not seeing much love. I think when I looked at the data, his average placements was like above 5, but now it doesn't even show up anymore because no one plays him. But I hope this is enough to bring him back. There's a lack of like a lot of AP reroll in my opinion. It's really only Brand or Corki. Next up we have Jarvan. He's getting an attack speed nerf. And a mana nerf. I'm not sure why they're nerfing Jarvan if Hextech was weak. I guess they're doing this for Striker. Nocturne Unspeakable Horror Stun Duration is being nerfed a little bit at 3-star. I guess they did this maybe because they're buffing Hextech. They don't want to overbuff it. So they're keeping Jarvan in check that way. That's my guess at least. Nocturne's Unspeakable Horror damage is being nerfed a tiny bit at level 1 and at 3-star Nocturne. You know, I've never seen 3-star Nocturne do that much. So it is interesting to see why. But like a 3.5 second CC is really long time. Nocturne's Unspeakable Horror now correctly scales with ability power. Maybe that's why they did it, because apparently it did not scale before. Twitch Piercing Bolt attack damage scaling percent is being nerfed a little bit at 3-star by 10% and 2-star at 5%. Yeah, Twitch is really, really strong. I feel like the Innovator build, ever since they changed Echo, because Echo's now an Innovator, the build just works much better than it did in the last set. Piercing Bolt's damage being increased at 1-star, the same at 2-star, and nerfed at 3-star. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fair. Twitch was pretty powerful. Units tier 2, Ashe Volley number of arrows being increased to 8, so 888. And then her range is being increased by 1 hex. Interesting. I thought Ashe was in a fine spot. Like, I saw a lot of good players playing it, and I like checked the data. It was doing well there too, at least like the ones that are available to us. So I do wonder why they buffed Ashe. Reworked Rek'Sai spell base damage no longer scales with AP. And then now her armor and magic resist is increased. The resist steal is removed, and then her healing with no AP scaling is now being changed to get AP scaling. So the damage doesn't have AP scaling, but the healing does. And then if Rek'Sai has already bitten her target, she heals for more HP instead. Okay, so she's like going to be a reset champion in a way. Like she kills something, heals, kill something, heals. Not kill something, like bites something and heals. Lucian goes in. He's got low range and loves to get into the heat of battle. He probably shouldn't have the same defensive stats as a backline sniper like Misfortune. As for his damage buff, just remember that he shoots twice. All right. Echo is being nerfed a little bit. Yeah, again, I was talking about it before. Echo, such a good unit to have a triple trait, so you got to be careful with them. So nerfing him probably makes sense. Gnar increased the range of Mega Gnar's boulder by 1 hex. What I hate about Gnar is that he misses a lot of times, from what I see at least. Like, maybe it's a visual bug, or maybe I'm not seeing things correctly, but I feel like he misses his ult a lot. Lucian Relentless Pursuit damage is being buffed by a little bit, like 10, 20, and 15 damage, and then getting a bit more health, getting a bit more armor and magic resist. I see a lot of times Lucian dashes into the enemy team, similar to the Lucians I play with on my team in League of Legends, but yeah, hopefully this helps him out a little bit. Malzahar Malefic Visions damage. This one is being nerfed. Yeah, Malzahar stabilizes really hard in the early to mid game. I feel like during stage 3 and 4, like a Malzahar 2 out carries a lot of the 4 cost units. So it does make sense to nerf him. Again, this is assuming he has like items and the comp fits him and whatnot. But yeah, he did do a little bit too much work in my opinion. Senna piercing darkness attack damage being nerfed a little bit, 10% for the attack damage scaling, and then for the flat damage, it's being nerfed by 5 at 2-star and 20 at 3-star. Yeah, the Socialite Senna build was really, really strong. She also works really well in Innovator, so this makes a lot of sense too. So onto the tier 4. Okay, let's see here. A lot of changes. Ari getting a mana buff, and then the angle between each orbs is being reduced, so she probably is going to hit the same target with multiple orbs more often now. And then Alistair pulverized damage is being decreased a little bit. You know, I have heard about AP Alistair builds. I wonder why they're so against it, but it's not like it was actually that good. It was just like one of those funny things to see. But Alistair is a really strong unit, mainly because of his CC. I don't think the damage is going to do that much to him. He's probably still going to be fine. Braum Vaultbreaker's stun duration is being increased. That's a little scary. I feel like Braum is just always pretty solid. I know bodyguards are weaker this set so far, but with the CC durations, I just hate situations where teams are completely stun locked without like a QSS. Draven getting 1 range, and then he now has innate armor penetration. His VIP armor penetration bonus is being decreased. So the VIP actually got weaker, but the regular Draven got stronger. So that's the change there. Spinning axe damage scaling is being increased at 1 and 2-star, and then over here for the base damage, it's being decreased at all levels. So they're making you build more attack damage on him instead of relying on just like attack speed. So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe like you want to build Deathblade now instead of like a Rage Blade. But again, we'll have to see how it actually plays out once we start playing the game. Renata Toxic Wave damage. This one is being changed a little bit. She is going to be nerfed at 2-star and nerfed at 3-star. Actually, nerfed at all levels. I didn't see the first change. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like they need to nerf her a little more. It's always a tricky thing to do, nerfing Morello reliant champions, because is the damage coming from the Morello or is the damage coming from her spell? And they like barely nerfed her in the B patch, but they nerfed Sivir in like 50 ways when I thought they were around the same strength in the last week, or like 2 weeks ago. But now they're doing another small nerf. I feel like it needs to be a little more. If they did like 1 medium nerf, I feel like that'd be fine. Or maybe 2 or 3 small nerfs, you know? Sivir attack speed buffed by a little bit. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, she definitely needs the help, especially with Disintegrator getting nerfed. Vibe Piltover Pulverizer damage is being decreased at 1 and 2-star, and then the third cast damage also being decreased at 1 and 2-star. Vi has always been pretty cool. She's not like the shining star or like the center of attention, but she's always been like a solid unit, like a secondary or tertiary carry. I feel like she's kind of cool, but maybe she was dealing a bit too much damage. Units tier 5, you'll now be less sad when Tom Kench puts a Colossus in his mouth. Spit that out, Mr. Thomas Kench. Alright, so Galio Colossal Entrance, max health scaling increased from 5 to 6. Kaisa attack speed increased. Yeah, I haven't seen much Kaisa. You would think she'd still be really good because, I mean, she dominated the entirety of last set. But right now, the builds just aren't going her way. Tom Kench Devour damage on crowd control immune targets is being increased. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Tom Kench is really weird. If Colossuses or Colossi and QSS is meta, it's going to be hard for him to get a lot of items going or like damage and CC going. Zeri attack damage is being buffed. Yeah, Zeri felt a little weak, so maybe they need to do a little more in Zeri, but the thing about Zeri is that she attacks so fast that a small attack damage buff probably means like a lot more on her compared to other champions. So now onto the items. Assassin's hard counter now counters a bit softer. Yeah, Bramblevest has been too good of a tank item. It's always been the best tank item for the past like 10 sets. We haven't even had 10 sets, but that's how good it is. So I feel like I'd want like more diversity in terms of the tank items. Obviously, most damage in the game is attack damage. I feel like there have always been more attack damage comps. So if you compare Bramblevest with Dragonclaw, you're always going to want to prefer a Bramblevest. Also, Bramblevest blocks critical strike damage, so if you build a Jeweled Gauntlet, it's still good against those types of builds. But yeah, like, I wish Dragonclaw had a way to be better. I'm not sure how to buff it to not make it like super OP, because obviously if it's super OP, then you still have the same problem, except instead of Bramble Vest, you build Dragon Claw every game. But yeah, it is fair to nerf Bramble Vest. It's always been like the go-to tank item. Bramble Vest reflect damage is also, or I guess it's being buffed. So they're making it less tanky, but dealing more damage, which obviously is a nerf because you buy this item or build this item for the tankiness, not so much for the reflect damage. So now onto the small changes. Onto the augments. Battle Mage can no longer be offered if you're playing 2 or more snipers. Dominance can only appear if you won your previous combat or are on a 2+ win streak. Oh, they changed it to 2+ win streak. Golden Egg and Radiant Relic options, Covalent Spark damage is being nerfed a little bit. So they're nerfing a lot of the Radiant items. That's what I've noticed. Edge of Night is being buffed, so you get it earlier. This makes sense because this is like the only bad item in the game, I'd say. Golden Gifts can now appear as a second augment, or can only appear as a second augment, and then Knife's Edge can no longer be offered Knife's Edge if you are playing 2+ Arcanists, 2+ Scholars, Snipers, or Enchanters. Alright, that's pretty fair. Portable Forge Armory option, the Collector, chance to drop gold 50 to 60%. Swift Justice has been named to True Justice. And then Treasure Trove 1 and 2 can now only appear as the first augment. So I'm really glad they're doing this Knife's Edge and Battle Mage change, because I always complained, like, some games you get augment choices and then you don't actually have a choice because some of them are just untakeable. Like, if you're going Arcanist, like Knife's Edge, it's literally like not an option. So I am glad that they are doing that. Traits, okay. Twin Shot needs a better shot, especially when you have 5. Shouldn't that be quintuplet shot? Sure. Buffs at 4 and 5 twin shot, I think that is. I mean, I never go that deep into twin shot, but if you guys have like a 5 twin shot build that works out, like, let me know. Ezreal damage being nerfed, yeah, the Innovator build again. Like, I'm actually fine with them nerfing Innovator in this many ways because it's way too flexible and way too strong of a comp. I talked about this in my Meta Snapshot, which I post every Friday, so subscribe if you want to get notifications on when that goes out. It pretty much just goes over whatever the best comps are, but I said in the last week that Innovators should never be like that good because they're a flexible comp, because they could kind of flex around their carry. So if you're a comp that's like very strong and very flexible, that's what would be considered, I think, at least as OP. But if it's like you need a specific 8 champions to make a comp work and it's strong, I feel like that's fine because you need the 8 specific champions to make it work. So it's kind of like a soft Exodia build or something like that. But it isn't. It's flexible and it's really strong. So yeah, nerfing it in multiple ways I feel like is very justified. Corki bombardment damage. All right, let's see. It's being buffed at across the board. I tried Corki recently. He has felt pretty weak. I really want him to be a thing though. So yeah, they might even need to buff it more in my opinion, because Brand and Corki, like the 2 AP rerolls, they're just not at the same level as everything else right now. Lulu Wild Growth bonus health is being increased a little bit. I guess I should start doing like a Yordle one-trick account. That'd be kind of fun to do. Morgana's Soul Shackle Shield is being nerfed. Thank God. Morgana is just way too strong. For an Enchanter, I know Enchanter's kind of like a pseudo-tank class, but when you're frontlining Morgana and she's living through everything, it's kind of annoying. The only thing that counters Morgana is like Tahm Kench. Tryndamere Spinning Slash base spin damage is being nerfed a bit. Oh, that is a sizable 3-star nerf. I wonder how necessary this was because they nerfed Triforce. I guess the Triforce nerf wasn't that big, but okay. I didn't know Tryndamere was considered this strong at 3-star, but I guess I should have been playing him more last patch. Units tier 4, Aurelia, attack damage being nerfed by 5, that's fair. She wasn't broken OP, but she was pretty good. The Socialite build, that is. Jhin Curtain Call attack damage is being buffed a bit at 1-star. I feel like we need more Jhin nerfs. Jhin has, like, not been what he was last set. Last set, he was, like, one of the primary carries that people would use, but this set, it's all about Renata. It's all about, like, Sivir in the first patch. It's all about Draven, kind of. Like, Draven's not that great, but he's still better than Jhin. That's how bad Jhin is, in my opinion, right now. And then who's the other carry? Aurelia. There's probably someone else I'm missing. But onto the tier 5, you're perfect with just 5 more armor and magic resist for Jinx. Okay, yeah. Again, Jinx, she just jumps into the enemy team as a range attack damage carry. So it's just never going to be that great of a champion unless her stats are just like completely nuts, you know? But hopefully this helps her. Maybe she pops off. Maybe with a Bloodthirster, she heals back up when she's in the middle of the enemy team. Edge of Night Threshold is being buffed a bit. Yeah, it's just a horrible item right now. I don't know if it needs more attack damage. I don't know if it needs to give more attack speed in the buff. Maybe the threshold is enough. We'll see. Static Shiv lightning damage is being nerfed a little bit. Oh man, really? I guess it was really strong for like win streaking and stuff, but I'm always a fan of Static Shiv ever since set 1. So double up, team chat. Okay, so you have team chat and double up in case you guys are not on like voice chat. And then now onto the bug fixes. We fixed an issue with non-typical mobile login methods that have caused account lockouts. We fixed an issue with crashes related to brand spanking new phones that weren't prepared to support until now. Okay, so this is like a rich person problem. And then hyperroll components MIA. Fixed an issue where players would sometimes get fewer than intended minimum number of components from PvE rounds. And then stacking the Triforce 2 and Triforce 3 augments will now give you the proper amount of mana. Recombobulator, I have not gotten this yet. I really want to get it though. Now spawns magnetic removers in the top left corner like other loot augments, and then one and done. Archangel's Embrace 2 has been renamed to Archangel's Embrace since there's only one tier. I didn't know that. Radiance Banshee Claw tooltip now specifies that it blocks up to 600 ability damage, similar to the normal one. And then fix a bug where Tahm Kench would still consume and deal damage over time to units unaffected or affected by Silco's unstable concoction without actually consuming and disabling them. Dawn of Night's Enforcer no longer detains units with Radiant Quicksilver or units affected by Radiant Zephyr. Thematically bugged. Warwick with Mutant Emblem no longer deals more damage than intended. That's kind of weird. Fix an issue where Yordle mana cost would not always update immediately as players switch between Yordle 3 and Yordle 6. And then Tahm Kench no longer stuns and deals damage to enemies who escaped his stomach with Edge of Night. And then fix an issue where Cho'Gath Colossus health would not activate the first time Cho'Gath is placed onto the board. Oh man, is that why my Cho'Gath's been dying? I don't know how often this happens, but sometimes if you like put units on and off the bench, they receive or like don't receive buffs. I don't know why it's like that, but it just is. Silco will no longer cast Unstable Concoction on a target that's inside Tahm Kench's belly. Makes sense. Luden's Echo will no longer deal 0 damage the first time a unit is put onto the board. And then Hextech, Debonair, or Striker trait augments can no longer be offered after picking Built Different, thank God. I guess like they forgot to code it in for all the new trait augments. The Soul is a construct. Fix an issue causing Innovator Soul to never show up as an augment offering. I guess I haven't seen this, but I also haven't been playing Enchanters because I've been like semi-trolling when I've been playing. But yeah, that is a pretty sizable patch. Again, they've been saying they're going to keep an eye out, so it's not actually going to be a month-long patch. Like, they're probably going to be-patch it at some point. But essentially, I think like Riot just has like a break during this time. I'm not sure why, but they do. But overall, like I'm glad they're getting Bodyguard buffs because Bodyguard has definitely been outshined by Bruisers. You always want them to be on like equal levels at least, in my opinion. Especially early game Bruisers are just like infinitely better than the Bodyguards from like what I've seen so far. Disintegrator was a little broken. I didn't know Electrocharge was broken. Luden's my favorite, so I'm like biased. So I like overrate it because I'm biased about it. But overall, like I feel like pretty solid patch. Maybe I give it like a 7 out of 10, which is like pretty high. Very few things in life are absolutely perfect, but there are also like too many changes to just do a proper judging in like a 20-minute or 30-minute video. I don't know how long this took. But I think overall, like the meta today, with a couple adjustments, that's pretty much what the next week's meta is going to be. Like they never did anything like completely bonkers in this patch notes. Normally like sometimes they nerf one comp like 10 different ways. I guess Innovator kind of felt that this patch, but it wasn't like major nerfs to them in my opinion. It was like minor ones, you know, like 5 or 6 minor ones, which means it might be still pretty good. I'm most excited about getting High 5 because that just sounds really cool, you know? It's like end of stage 4 is when you get it because it only comes out as a 3rd augment. and you just have the chance to like get that legendary you need. Some teams like you really need that legendary. Like if you're playing challengers or something like that, or mutants, you really want Kaisa, you can get that. If you're like playing scrap and you really need Jinx, you can possibly get Jinx. They're like, you could say the same for every single legendary, so it would be cool to kind of have in your game. But let me know your thoughts on this patch in the comments below. I'll be streaming hopefully like 4 or 5 times this next week. Twitch.tv/BunnyMuffinsLOL if you aren't followed there already. And also check out like Twitter, Instagram. All the links are in the description below. But that's going to be it from me. Hopefully this patch is fun. A month is a long time, but again, like they wrote like a whole freaking article on like why they're doing it and what they're going to do to adjust for it. So they are aware of it. They're not doing it on purpose to like piss us off or something like that. Because if not, they would not have wrote this article about it. But hope to see you guys later.